everyone doing out there? Welcome to the Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You're in the hole with Major League A-Holes, episode 163. We have a jam-packed show. Again, we're about 2.5 weeks into the season. We have 3 teams above 500 on our 5-team list, which is typically we're struggling to get it's a race between who can be the least number of games below 500
right
to win the A-hole standing. So got some good teams to talk about for a change. We also have some shit teams to talk about as well, but there's some positive signs here and there. One of those incredible stories is your San Francisco Giants. We're gonna have to break that down. Who are these Giants? I think was your outline question to me. I don't know. How do we explain this? The other thing we need to explain is their new City Connect uniforms, their second shot at these in San Francisco. I can't wait to go through those explanations. Colorado also released new City Connect uniforms that we're going to have to break down as well. My Tigers have the best record in the American League as of their victory last night in Milwaukee. It's a remarkable story. They also have our asshole of the week, kind of an obscure asshole of the week. It kind of slipped under the radar a couple weeks ago, but we'll get to that. Your White Sox actually won a series this weekend against the Red Sox. It looked like they had a pretty good attendance there this weekend too.
30,000 plus on Saturday.
I saw that, yeah. And Garrett Crochet returned. That was the Sunday game though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got a little revenge, and not kind of revenge. I'm confused who got revenge in that whole story, but we'll talk about that. We got, if we get to it, there's some clarity about the White Sox ownership situation with the Ishbias that we've talked about a couple times in previous episodes. There's some clarity on how the ownership actually works with Jerry's controlling interest or majority ownership or vice versa. So we can explain that a little bit better. It's good to know what's going on in those murky realms, those smoke-filled rooms of the White Sox. The Cubs, I mean, it's amazing we're not leading with this, but Justin Steele is out for the season with an elbow issue. What the fuck do they do from here? Trades, call-ups? I don't know. I'll talk about all that. Also, there's been a lot of talk about Kyle Turner extension talks, and I've got theories. Others have theories, all kind of based on what Vlad Guerrero Jr. got in Toronto. So we can break that down. Then, if we've got time, or if we feel like we've got some shit we couldn't make up involving my fucking A's, just another ridiculous story, and a mysterious post on, was it Twitter or Instagram?
On X, yes, on X.
On X, that John Heyman posted a list of players from the early 2000s that seems either coincidental or very suspicious to what was on the Mitchell report that listed all the players who tested positive for steroids. But that was quickly deleted without explanation. I guess it was online for an hour and it was gone. So
yeah, it's like it never happened, but people have captured it. So it lives.
Yeah, it'll live. I've got some theories about it, and so do you. So I guess with that, we might as well go ahead and jump into the news.
Well, let me clarify. The exact segment name of this is "Who the fuck are these Giants?"
Oh yeah.
They are not the team I anticipated. Apparently the team you anticipated. It was the team I did not anticipate. I think, first thing to note is both them and the Padres are above the Dodgers in the NL West. The Dodgers are the third best team in the NL West right now. And
so you guys are 12-4.
Yeah, they're 11-5.
And Padres are 13-3 after beating the Cubs last night.
Yeah. Is that what it is? Or no, the Padres are 12-4. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. But yeah, the Giants are a game and a half out. So
okay.
Wow. Like I've been watching games. They look great. I think one huge thing is they tend to not miss when there's runners in scoring position, where there's ducks on the pond, as Hawk Harrelson used to say. Their OPS with runners in scoring position is .866, which is pretty darn good. They have they're like top 5. What are they? Top 10 in home No, top 5 in home runs. They hit home runs with runners on base in the most timely, clutch situations you could ask for right now.
That's a good combo.
Yeah, is that going to keep up for the rest of the season? I don't know, but that was kind of the formula of how they played when they had that record-setting 117 wins that we didn't see happening.
Easy. It was
107, sorry. 107 wins.
Lower.
5 more. You're almost there, Pete. Yeah,
they won 170 games that year.
When they won more than they even played. Doubleheaders counted as 4.
All right.
Anyway,
we digress.
So they, it's exactly that. One huge thing that sticks out is they're playing like near flawless in the field. Their fielding percentage leads the majors at .995, which I think basically calculates to 1 error has occurred this entire season for their defense.
Jesus.
Like I said, the offense, top 10 in OPS, top 5 in RBIs, top 5 in home runs. But same thing with the pitching. The pitching is top 5 in pitching based on ERA. So like everything is pointing upward. In fact, they're trending better statistically really than the Padres when you look at it, but the Padres are winning just a few more games than they have. So if
the most important statistic.
Yes, exactly. But I feel if the Giants stay the course, there's no reason they're not going to be there miraculously in the end.
Guess the question is, would you think the Giants roster is more, if that course is sustainable with the Giants roster versus the Padres or the Dodgers rosters? So
I think it's more sustainable with either one of those other rosters. Yes, I think
you're enjoying the ride while it's lasting.
Yeah, I mean, are the Dodgers the quote unquote too big to fail? Probably.
They didn't look that good against the Cubs this past weekend.
I know, but I
16-0. Wow.
I thought about it last year. Last year, I think they also got off to a bit of a slow start to start the season. And I think they won like something insane in like mid-season where they won like 21 out of 30 games or something crazy like that. And it was just all over at that point. But, you're also, I think a little bit for the Giants too. They kept the teams basically the second year of playing together, like this group of players outside of like the Willie Adames edition. And that's probably part of it too. You just got this group of players who obviously like playing with one another and things are clicking. Young Hoo Lee, who I was raving about last episode, has only gotten better. I think his OPS last episode was in the 800s. Well, now it's 1038.
Jesus.
Yastrzemski is 1036. Flores continues to rake at 838, jacking home runs left and right. He's got 6 home runs to lead the team. I mean, these are things that, Lee left early last season with an injury. So he's back now. So if he stays healthy, the rotation stays healthy, and their bullpen is fucking lights out. So they can afford to have starters go 5 innings where, some of the other teams we talk about on this, the worst thing is when a starter goes 5 innings because their bullpen is fucking porous. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Again, is the reality going to be they're going to be there come August, September? Maybe. We see crazy shit in baseball all the time.
That's why we watch the games.
That's why the game is so fucking interesting because, they always say any given Sunday in football. Well, any fucking day in baseball, really. So
that's why I never understand why people even gamble on baseball like that. I mean, I'm not a gambler anyway, but I don't know how often you bet on baseball, but it just seems like the biggest crapshoot.
Won a parlay yesterday.
Nice.
But I don't bet wins and losses because of that. I bet like total bases for players and stuff like that.
Wow.
Real locks, Smitty. Locks.
Okay then.
Unbeatable betting. But yeah, I mean, the numbers are gaudy right now. What are we, 15 games in? So
about
14, 15 games in, depending on who you are, or unless you're the Cubs and Dodgers, they're 17 in. So I'm enjoying it. I might be on here in 2 weeks from now bitching. So, but for now, I know. Hard to believe, right?
I've seen it.
You what? But I'm not even going to complain about the White Sox today. I got nothing but it's happy-go-lucky Pete is back. So
again, all season so far. This is a great year.
Yes.
2025 is your year.
It's the year of the Pete. But yeah, I don't know. It's great. That's all I got. I mean, it'll be more interesting though, seriously, when they play the Dodgers and they get into some more of those divisional games, the Padres and stuff like that. Be interesting to see how those shake out, and if they're winning those, then
that shapes everything.
Yeah. So wait and see. But I guess the other big news out of San Francisco is, of course, their second take on the City Connect uniform.
Leading us smoothly into our first aesthetics of the day.
All right. You want me just to rip into this thing or what?
Yeah. Well, let's describe the uniforms a little bit. It's like a black jersey with some stripes.
Yes.
Some weird shapes. Kind of looks like a topographical map. You've got it looked like street art, I think. It was kind of like graffiti, like a graffiti fonts, but like a script giants, like surrounded by neon orange and purple outlines. Similar SF logo in the graffiti font on the hat. There's some patches and other stuff that I think that your descriptions describe what the hell's going on, but definitely a different look. It was not what anyone was expecting. They kind of leaked maybe a week prior to their actual release, and I wasn't sure they were really the jersey because it just didn't really look like a major league jersey. But we've been fooled about these Nike City Connects before. So
yeah, well, let me get to it. So speaking of that script that when you sent me the leaked jersey, I said, is this in celebration of the wonderful graffiti art around San Francisco? But it is actually, it flows like a psychedelic music poster. So that's the idea of the script, sort of that whole San Francisco 60s psychedelia, which is going to be present in most of the things I talk about.
Yeah, I forgot we failed to mention they're calling these the remix uniforms.
Yes.
So because it all has to do with music, the music of San Francisco somehow.
Sound waves is what you refer to as the stripes in the uniform.
Yeah, it's almost like they were like the Sox South Side pinstripe uniforms, but then the like warped stripes. I have a theory about that actually. If the original concept was about music, I'm wondering if those are supposed to be like grooves on a vinyl record. The jersey was supposed to look like a record at one point, and then like some executive got involved. Like, no, we can't do that. Let's do something else with that. So they warped all the lines and they just called it sound waves.
Yeah,
I mean that is a pretty big stretch to call just some wavy lines like sound waves. It's just kind of I'm trying to theorize how they got to that point. I could see how that could happen with multiple committees involved, the team, Nike, multiple designers, creative directors, account executives, all throwing in their 2 cents. Eventually ended up landing on sound waves.
Yeah, I don't know if you actually read this, but it's pressed like grooves on vinyl, to your point, flowing with the city's pulse. That's the full explanation.
Okay, so they kind of combine sound waves and vinyl grooves.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
The logo on the cap, the headliner, as they say, San Francisco's signature, remixed and framed in our gradient accent. So whatever. Then they talk about gradient accents, orange and violet, crossfade, vibrant and fluid. Sure.
Did they... Someplace that they describe where the purple came from. I don't know if it was in that section, but it's becoming.
No, it's on the page 2. It has to do with the New York Giants uniforms.
Yeah, okay,
or something like that, or the Brooklyn. Sorry, glove patch. This one needed no explanation. I figured this one out right when I saw it. Our iconic outfield glove remixed with the Summer of Love energy. It was so obvious. I knew that's what it was. So
Yeah,
kudos to getting one thing without needing an explanation.
What does it actually say? I don't remember what it is. I know it's the baseball glove, and then it spells out kind of like a Woodstock logo. It spells out a bunch of...
It says San Francisco Giants, and then established 1958.
Okay.
And 1958's like in the center, like a baseball.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool. Look at it. That on its own, I think would be, and they may have it. I haven't looked.
T-shirt.
A cool T-shirt.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a really cool T-shirt.
Sure, they can get that for you. That's the sleeve patch.
Yeah, it's a sleeve patch. Yes.
Okay.
And then, where is this located? There's the music icons, 9 music genres that shape the Bay, sampled across the jock tag and the cap interior. So there's like these just symbols.
I don't know how you're going to describe this because it makes no sense. Like
yeah,
there's a lot going on, a bunch of shapes and symbols somehow that describes different genres of music. Like
I don't get it.
That lost me big time.
They all look psychedelic to me. So as the 9 different forms of psychedelic music.
Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about? The different form, like San Francisco is famous for the psychedelic rock movement in the 60s. I guess they're hip hop just because every urban center has a hip hop influence somehow. I mean, Metallica is there. From there. Primus is from there. What else is from San Francisco? I don't.
You've got like.
I just don't think. I think of psychedelic as like that might be kind of San Francisco, but I don't think of them as a cornerstone of any other genre of music. But they're trying to say it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Not sure, but
it's a good answer.
I mean, I got nothing for you.
Yeah,
because like when they said 9 forms of music, I'm like, really?
Okay.
Why not just put a fucking Metallica patch on it and call it a fucking day?
They've tried that before. That works every time.
It works every time. It sells out. Okay, you ready? The story behind the purple.
Okay, here we go.
The New York Giants wore violet from 1913 to 1917, a nod to the New York University. Decades later, purple pulsed through San Francisco counterculture. Now it's back. Now
purple haze. I see. Oh, that's clever.
Ooh, and it's on your brain now.
There we go.
Well, there you go too, everyone. So, I mean, honestly, it's weird because I think they kind of got things half right on both of their City Connects. I don't think either one has been like a home run by any stretch.
Yeah, it's weird comparing the two. The others look kind of like creamsicles. They're pretty much just white and orange with like a foggy overtone on top of all the logos and numbers and shit. But
yeah, when you decide to go with fog on a white jersey, it's not going to be very exciting.
I don't know. Are we ready to give our ratings for these?
Yeah, I'm ready. You want me to go? Or
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going 1 up and 1 down because there are things I like about it. I actually like, honestly, even with the crazy script, like I kind of like this jersey a little bit better than the original City Connect, to be honest.
I'm gonna go the same. 1 middle finger up, 1 middle finger down. I think my complaint with a lot of these, they don't look like the team that they're supposed to be. These do. I mean, at least they use the team colors. They've added in purple, which is a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of cool. I don't think they look kind of goofy, but they're not awful. So that's why I'm gonna halfway. So I think our combined 2 out of 4 middle fingers is probably a pretty good rating for these. But I think they are better at least than their first City Connect uniforms.
All right, now
I think we might as well continue the aesthetic segment because the Colorado Rockies also introduced their City Connect 2.0s.
Whoa.
Do you remember their first set? I thought they kind of looked like park rangers.
Yes. With the mountains in the background, all green.
It was green, basically green and white, or maybe green and cream color. I don't know. But they had green pants with like a white belt and green, like the bottom half of the jersey was green. Then it flowed up into the mountains and then a white sky. And I thought they were awful. So they did a totally different take on a similar idea.
Yeah.
Wow. You got that pulled up there?
Yeah, I got it pulled up. Wow. There's one thing I thought of immediately when you sent this to me, and the first words that came to mind are, "You are now free to move around about the country," because it looks like their jersey was designed by Southwest Airlines.
It is a predominantly light blue. There's some purple,
yellow
and red, which is,
yes.
I didn't see that at first, but as soon as you sent me that, I thought of the next tagline. Want to get away?
Yeah, want to get away. There you go. Yeah.
They totally look like Southwest Airlines uniforms. It's fucking hilarious. So good call by you. Yeah, there's it's almost the same pattern as their previous. It's like, except they just changed the color palette completely.
Yeah,
from the previous City Connect. So
I'm gonna read. So they have 2 pages also. I'm gonna read the before we get into the details. I've got the colors of Colorado pulled up, and the two different pontifications of this thing. Trailblazing our future is the first paragraph. That's the headline. A new day is upon us. Yes.
Wow.
The path ahead may be uncharted, but it promises a vibrant, bold new future if we forge forward together.
If they're referring to how shitty that organization has been, I mean, they have to think anything about, they have to look to the future rather than looking at anything from the past, because they've been a disaster on every level.
It's time for the dawn of a new day, punctuated with rays of the triumphs of our past. Welcome to the future of nostalgia.
That's the line. That is the line that is what kind of personifies all of these Nike City Connect, these descriptions that we've been reading for 3-4 years now. That's the only reason we do this. The ridiculous verbiage they came up with. Welcome to the future of nostalgia is just the most pretentious bullshit you could ever come up with. It doesn't even make any sense. So I love that. I thought that was too perfect. And they also emphasize that it's like in a highlighted thing, and so it's kind of the centerpiece of what they're trying to say with these uniforms. It just makes me laugh.
Yeah, highlighted in red with white type.
Don't miss it.
Okay, but let's keep going now, because this next paragraph headline is Sunrise to Sunset. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Inspired by Colorado's iconic sunrises and sunsets from the Rocky Mountains, our colors reflect a palette that pays homage to the perfect transition between day and night.
I'll give them that. Have you been to Colorado?
Yes.
Yeah, I've actually got friends that live out there. I've been out there a bunch of times, and that the color palette does actually do exactly what they're describing there. It looks like a Colorado sunset over the mountains, which is pretty fucking cool. They got the colors right now that you understand what they're doing and not trying to pay homage to Southwest Airlines.
One more sentence to this.
Sorry.
That's okay. I know you probably thought that was enough, but it's not. It's not, actually.
I never know when it's enough.
It's not enough. A blend of bluebird skies against a backdrop of purple mountain majesty.
Yeah, you have to have that.
Highlighted by brilliant orange and pink, bright and hopeful, unlike their season. Well, the unlike their season part I added, but.
Yes.
All right. You ready for the deets?
I'm ready.
Here's the deets. The jersey design, featuring our iconic mountain logo with a vibrant color overhaul that encompasses all that front range represents.
That I thought was cool. They literally took, it's a little bit different version of their regular logo, but they just changed the color palette to fit this, which I think is a smart move to kind of do that thing I'm always complaining about, where it doesn't look anything like the team. Well, this takes the purple that was already in their color palette and just kind of adds to it, and unifying it with their traditional logo. It ties it together, makes it look like a Rockies uniform. You wouldn't mistake it for another franchise. So that part I thought was cool.
Pullover jersey. The Rockies are the first team to debut a City Connect pullover jersey, a callback to the very first jersey worn at the beginning of a ball player's journey.
That's the only thing I can think of why they're talking about nostalgia. Like, that's the kind of a retro thing, but they never had a pullover jersey in their existence. So I don't know what they're referencing there, other than just traditional, like old school retro.
I know.
Baseball uniforms. So they just stole that, but whatever.
The Colorado mindset. The interior of the hat is lined with the Denver city flag, punctuated by the beautiful colors highlighted throughout our state and the uniform. It's just like a decorative pattern on the
Yeah, I guess people in Denver might know what the Denver flag looks like. I have no idea, but I'll take their word for it.
Ripstop pattern. The ripstop pattern is inspired by the classic clothing material worn by skiers and snowboarders.
This I don't get at all, but again, I'm not a skier or a snowboarder, and I'm not in Colorado, so maybe people get it immediately out there. Who knows? Do you even understand what they're talking about?
No idea. I'm with you. I don't ski or snowboard. Never had a broken bone, so I think that's part of the reason why I've never attempted to hurt myself.
Good.
Yeah, on the slopes.
Okay.
Yeah. The hat is also the mountain range with the ball.
Yeah, it's their regular logo, I guess.
Yeah.
Just different colors.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they're fucking hideous.
Oh, I'll go first then. I'm gonna give them the same one middle finger up and one middle finger down. I don't think they're awful. They're an improvement over 1.0. So that's almost like I'm grading on a curve because the first ones are so bad. So I'm giving them maybe too much credit. I didn't want to give them 0 middle fingers. So maybe I'm being a bit kind, but what did you think?
I was going double down. I think about an airline.
Well,
in fact,
you can't get that out of your head, can you?
I can't get it out of my head. Even the way the marketing materials are designed, it looks like a Southwest ad, for Christ's sake.
I love Southwest. That's the best airline to fly, though. So I don't know why you're holding that against them.
Well, no more free bags, so fuck them, man.
That's what it comes down to. You're pissed.
I'm angry.
Do they still give out the snack boxes?
I don't know.
Free peanuts?
I fly United now. It's all the same fucking price.
Oh, the upscale. Oh, an aristocrat.
That's right.
Nice. Well, congrats to you.
I don't have time for this wait in line to get my seat bullshit. I want it assigned.
That is one of the more interesting parts of Southwest Airlines. So I could understand why you'd hold that against the Colorado Rockies.
That's right. Those fuckers. All right. Well, I think that's our aesthetic segment.
Boy, yeah, we ripped through an aesthetic segment early in the show. It's usually held to the end, but we couldn't resist. Well, that transitions us over to my Detroit Tigers, who happen to have the best record in the American League, 10-6, first team to 10 wins.
Nice.
Actually, they are, if you look at their last 40-some games last year that propelled them into the playoffs, they're now 41-19 over their last 60 games. And that was something that it's an interesting thing because you looked at their pitching chaos and how they went nuts those last 2 months of the season, made it into the playoffs, won their first playoff series, actually had a winning record still in the playoffs, even though they got knocked out in just before the ALCS by the Guardians. They were 4-3, but they were 31-13 on that stretch, and now 10-6. So that is the question in the offseason was, that pitching chaos and however they were doing it, was that sustainable? And it is appearing to be sustainable as they are doing the exact same thing this year in a very different way, though, which is really makes me optimistic that this is sustainable because they have a full rotation. They were doing this last year with basically a starter and a half, of course, with Tarek Skubal. But now with Jack Flaherty back on board, Reese Olson, it's kind of the forgotten guy out of this. The resurrection of Casey Mize. He did have a little bit of a rough outing on Sunday, which bums me out because I just picked him up on my fantasy team. More on that in a minute. But then the emergence of Jackson Jobe, baseball's top pitching prospect, has really started to put it together. So they've got a 1-5 rotation that is fucking dangerous. Add to that the bullpen that really carried them in that run last year. They're definitely keeping where they left off. But again, similar to your Giants, they're getting timely hitting up and down the order, which is surprising because there's so many no names that people outside of Detroit or who aren't paying close attention probably don't know who any of them are. But they're doing all this without Riley Green getting hot. He's actually struggled quite a bit. He's striking out a lot. They're doing it without Parker Meadows, who's been out since the beginning of spring training. But they're getting tremendous contributions from Spencer Torkelson, who we brought up last episode.
Torque.
He's in the running for AL MVP at this point. He's in the top 5 in every offensive category. 5 home runs and 13 RBI, over 1,000 OPS. So Kerry Carpenter is also blasting the ball, both of which are on my fantasy team that has rocketed into first place once again.
Oh, God. Yeah, 15 games in. It's all over. By the way, folks, this guy's so fucking annoying already with the fantasy baseball stats. Like, the season's ending next week.
I only sent you one text, and that was like 2 weeks ago. You can get over it now.
And I opted out of the text chain. So
that was weak. You were giving so much shit to everybody, then you just opt out.
I gave no shit. I made 2 White Sox comments on how they actually won a game.
Bullshit.
And then it was over. I opt out, and then I get blasted for opting out of what turned into a Detroit Tigers jerk-off fest. No, thank you.
We do have a lot of Tigers in the league. Sorry, Tigers fans in the league. So sorry about that. With good reason.
I had other things to do.
Well, it's been a fun couple weeks. I mean, even Javier Báez is contributing, which Tigers fans have never seen. A productive Javier Báez. He's actually walked, believe this or not, he's walked 3 times already this year.
Holy shit.
He walked, I think, a total of 12 times all of last year. So he's on pace to blow that one out of the water. He's actually playing third base a lot, which is really encouraging. He said he went in, or I think AJ Hinch, the manager, said before the season started, Javi came to him and said, use me however you need to use me. He wasn't going to throw a fit about not being a shortstop, which he's been his entire life. Put me wherever you need me to help us win, because that's what he's most concerned with, which is awesome. He's playing a decent third base. He's not a liability so far at third, so it's nice. He even played a little bit of center field. I'm sure we'll see him at second base at times this year. So in general, the defense hasn't been nearly the liability I was worried it was going to be, with losing Parker Meadows, who could arguably be the best center fielder in the American League, if not all of the majors. Losing him, being reluctant to move Riley Green back into center field, even though he's an excellent center fielder. He just tends to get hurt. They've had Ryan Kreidler out there, he's been a bit of a liability, but I think he's kind of calmed things down in the last week or so. Colt Keith is an issue at second base now that Spencer Torkelson has solidified his role as first baseman. The original plan is that Torque wasn't even going to be involved with this roster, so Colt Keith was going to move to first. Gleyber Torres was going to take over at second, but it's actually working out in the Tigers' favor. Well, that Torkelson is so productive right now that he can just play first base, which he's actually improved over his defensive prowess last year, I think. Have Gleyber Torres, even though he's not the greatest second baseman, he's an improvement over Colt Keith. Then you just have Colt Keith be the DH for now until you can figure it out. So I'm impressed with how the defense hasn't been nearly as bad as we thought it might be. So yeah, like everything is kind of clicking right now. The coolest thing is that they're getting production from throughout the entire lineup, and the lineup is radically different every day based on matchups that AJ Hinch wants to exploit. So you don't even know who's going to contribute. Scored 9 runs last night, which is more than enough for Tarek Skubal to shove it up their ass, winning 9-1 over the Brewers. So yeah, good times right now. That win actually helps my Cubs at the same time. So it's a double whammy. I fucking love it. Not so good times for at least one person in the formerly of the Tigers front office, as that leads us into our asshole of the week. Have you ever heard of the name Sam Menzin?
Director?
Yeah, if you have
Chicago
not heard,
alderman.
Yeah, there we go. If you have not heard that name, don't feel bad. I had not heard of him. Being a lifelong Cubs Tigers fan, really, apparently he's like an assistant GM, maybe grandfathered in under the Alavila regime. He resigned abruptly. This is now a couple weeks ago. It's the day before opening day. But the story didn't leak out for another week. He resigned as he just was time for a career change, as he put it, and he had to resolve some family issues. Well, those family issues are most likely involving the reason he was going to be fired if he hadn't resigned, because he was sending unsolicited dick pics to female members of the front office.
You can't do anything anymore. I swear to God.
You just got to wonder, like, what is the thought process behind dick pics in general, especially inter-office dick pic sending, unsolicited inter-office dick pic sending?
Could you imagine if it was, let's just roll back to when you and I started in marketing.
Oh,
would the dick pic have come through the inner office mail envelopes we used to get?
Yeah.
And then you would open it up and then there'd be a dick pic.
I'm so baffled behind this. Like, first of all, the thought process of even doing it. How is, this is kind of a societal question, but how is sending an unsolicited picture of your penis to any female, whether you know them from the office or a friend or whatever, if it's unsolicited, how is that not the same as sexual assault?
It should be. I mean,
I never hear that brought up. Like, I don't know. It just happens. It's funny. It's gets people fired. Gets Brett Favre in the news. It didn't work out well for him either. I don't know who this works out well for, but I guess it's almost tantamount to, like, you don't hear about flashing anymore. Like seemed to be a thing in the 70s or 80s where dudes would just be walking around in trench coats and just
right, exactly.
Like, isn't that the same? That was a sex crime. Like,
yes.
You go to jail for that. So how is sending a dick pic not a sex crime? The other part of it is that you are sending the evidence to the person who could convict you of this. Like, there's the evidence. You sent it. There's your dick. She's got it on her phone. Like, it's just a done deal. So even if it's not a crime, which it seems like it should be, it's a really easy way to get fired. Like, so it's just amazing that this is still happening, and people in executive positions are doing this and ruining their lives, essentially. I don't get it. It's the easiest. I never heard of the guy. I don't know how many assistant GMs the Tigers have, because I never heard of this guy. And they've hired several, like, since Scott Harris took over. So they must have plenty to go around. So hopefully it's not a detriment to the strategies of the Tigers going forward. Good riddance to Sam Menzin, and just a word out there. I can't think of a situation where it's a good idea to send out an unsolicited dick pic. So
I don't even think there's a good idea to send a solicited dick pic. Just dick pics.
That's a good point. I guess if you think this through, I mean, if someone's really asking for a picture of my dick, I guess I might send it to them. But I don't see that scenario come up very often. So
yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, it's an odd societal thing. Maybe we're just old and don't understand what the kids are up to these days. But
it's never the kids doing it. It's some, like, fucking old dude who's like a senior leader in an organization sending his wrinkly dick to someone.
What are we doing? So yeah, Sam Menzin, you are an asshole.
God, and just dumb.
Let's move on.
Let's move on to the South Side. Yeah. So the White Sox, the tolerable 2025 White Sox, had I think the lead story here is the return of Garrett Crochet to the rate with a different team. He did not take the mound for the White Sox. He took the mound for the Red Sox,
who paid him $170 million over the offseason in an extension that he was not going to receive from your White Sox.
Yeah, that happened like a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but prior to his start, he was interviewed about what it's like to be the Red Sox and leaving the White Sox. And I thought it was important to read one quote, which it's not going to be surprising because most people who have left the White Sox haven't necessarily had kind words to say about them. And this isn't as harsh as, like, some of the stuff like Abreu said, but it's a slight little dig from Crochet. Yeah. So he was asked about, like, being on the Red Sox, and here's what he said. Well, we went out and got Bregman. Devers has won a World Series. Buehler has won a World Series. It felt like it was the big leagues.
Yeah, that's a backhanded anti-compliment, backhanded slam. He didn't directly say that the White Sox are a minor league organization, but he kind of did say it. So.
Yeah. He went on to say, our playoff run in Chicago was 4 years ago. So for me, it was not very hard to move on, honestly. So, because the questions were there, like, is it strange being on another team since you've only known the White Sox? I guess not, especially with what's going on with the Red Sox, such a historic franchise. I was excited and still am for what this team could accomplish this season. So Crochet, not mincing words, but I'm not like, I wasn't bothered by anything he said. In fact, it was the great part about what he said was just factual, you know?
He's not embellishing. He's not, it's just kind of is what it is. I don't remember many interviews with him in general. I don't remember him talking much, but I don't think anything in what he said was out of bounds, but it's just kind of sad more than anything that, that's how he felt about his time with the White Sox, but it seems to be kind of a consensus over the last several years.
Yeah. And, to make things more interesting, he backed up his words with a big league performance against the Sox on Sunday afternoon, where this is another reason you love baseball, the 8th inning of this game. So he takes a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and Chase Medroth comes to the plate. Now you say, who's Chase Medroth? He was one of the 4 players that were traded to the White Sox, minor leaguers, from the Red Sox. And what happens in true irony of baseball is that's the guy who breaks up the no-hitter.
Unbelievable.
For Garrett Crochet. Crochet did say, like, after the game, he did find it really fucking hilarious, like, funny that of all things, like, that would happen, that is how it happened. He was
bummed me out because I wanted the no hitter for my fantasy team once again, but I'll take the 7 1/3 scoreless.
Yeah.
So
okay, congratulations for your April championship.
Capital City Dirtbags.
I seem to have a crown next to my name when you look at it in the on the website. So just take that into account. Anyway,
haven't seen that.
You ask, who is Chase Medroth? He was brought up because, of course, there's a rash of injuries with some of our position players. Tauchman is injured.
Did we? That was a long time. He got hurt on the way to score the tying run. We didn't even talk about that yet.
Yeah, because
in Minnesota, I think.
Yeah, had a limp in for the out.
He would have scored too. That would have tied the game, but he had the hamstring issue. Could not score. That's just another brutal way to lose a game.
Yeah. So, he's gotten the call up over the last week. They actually called him up specifically during the Red Sox series. I don't know if that was motivation and gamesmanship by the front office. It was a good move. He accumulated over those 3 games a nice 1029 OPS, got a hit in every game. Broke up the no-hitter, played very good in the field. I like him. He's pretty laid-back California dude, so interesting, different vibe than what we normally see from a White Sox player. My only concern is he chooses to wear number 10.
Ooh.
That was Yoan's number.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Could be a number that leads to sustained injuries. But I like the kid so far. Funny little note to everyone is Smitty was heading back home on the train, had no idea what was going on with the no-hitter.
Yeah, I was in Chicago last weekend, actually.
And I sent him a screen capture, and
I read the wrong part.
the funniest thing was he reads like the White Sox scoring a run and breaking up the no-hitter. And as in true fashion, as we played, is it a White Sox player or Chicago Alderman? He said, I don't know who any of these guys are.
Yeah, it listed like 4 different pieces of the play that broke up the no-hitter. And I couldn't, other than Garrett Crochet, I didn't know who any of them were.
Can you decipher this for me, please? But real quick, some quick notes on the White Sox. Really not a terrible team to watch this year so far. I mean, they've got 4 wins already. That's 12 games.
Yeah, you're not the worst team in baseball.
No, they're 12. That's 12 games earlier than last year. It took them 26 games. They won a series already. This is the 5th series of the season for them. It was in the 9th series last year. They finally won one. This is the crazy number, but you'll understand. These are some crazy numbers on why they're not terrible to watch. They have the 9th best pitching staff. Bullpen is 6. Starters are 12. So the bullpen issues that plagued them last season have not so far this season. They're actually tied for 10th in fielding percentage, which because they were last all of last season. But the reason they only have 4 wins is they can't hit still. They are dead last in OPS in baseball. You want to hear a very funny fucking number for OPS? How's
7?
How's 522 sound?
Ooh, wow. Yikes.
But the other good news is, you know how they do the StatCast, what your record should really be based on your performance? The Sox should be 7-8 according to those stats. So they've played well enough. They just haven't been able to completely put it all together. So I don't know. I'm pretty hopeful for a run to win the AL Central. So no, I'm definitely feeling 60 wins though. I'm definitely feeling the 60 wins this year.
Boy, that'd be a huge improvement. That would put you right around the 100 loss level. I mean, you did have. I mean, that was a great series against a good team in the Red Sox. It's impressive to win 2 out of 3 there, and I mean, a lot of teams are going to get shut down by Garrett Crochet. So nothing to be ashamed of there. So that I almost think this past weekend may have like shifted everyone's outlook on what the White Sox could be.
Well, we got a real clash of the Titans starting tonight. White Sox, Athletics.
Oh, that's right.
6:40 Central Standard Time, baby. It's can't miss baseball. Now, it would have been really funny if they decided to put that series on national TV, since neither team is on national TV this year, but that would have been a great. How many people would have actually tuned in?
Wow. Well, you keep underestimating how many people are going to show up to White Sox games. So I think maybe there's more than we realize. So,
well, you will remember though, we were very impressed with their giveaways this year.
That's right.
And I said, I think they amped up the giveaways to get people to the ballpark, and it was a very cool item. If I weren't delayed in returning from a trip I was on, I probably would have tried to go to that game because it was that 1907 like hoodie jersey.
Oh yeah,
really cool looking.
Was that Saturday?
Yeah, it was Saturday.
That explains the 30,000 people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly.
I get it. Yeah,
well, they got treated to a win. So, and a cool souvenir.
Yeah, the win's a bonus at this point. You get the jersey.
I got my jersey hoodie. I don't need a fucking win.
I do have to mention, I am going to a Tigers game in a week and a half. And it's the Kerry Carpenter bobblehead night.
Ooh.
So I'm fired up for that. I'll actually have a new Tigers bobblehead.
Nice.
If I get there in time. There's only 15,000 of them.
Yeah. So they like to limit those bobbleheads. They don't money to burn to get all these bobbleheads done.
Well, I just had one Sox tidbit. We don't have to talk about it too long if you don't want, but it's something we talked about quite a bit and we're confused on with the Justin Ishbia emergence.
Yes.
As a potential White Sox owner. Spiegel and Holmes, afternoons on The Score there in Chicago, followed up on, they actually did their own investigative journalism to figure out how this ownership stake is working, because it's confusing, like how much the Ishbias have bought up, what control the Reinsdorf still have, or how Ishbia could take over as owner. And it's actually pretty simple when you actually learn the facts about this. Since day one, Jerry Reinsdorf has had a controlling interest in the partnership, no matter what percentage of ownership he has, what shares he has. That's not a standard arrangement. I mean, you always hear about hostile takeovers and all that, and it's just a matter of who controls 51% of the shares of the company. Well, that's not how it works with the White Sox, and it's never been that way. The way it's always been written, Jerry is guaranteed he is the controlling partner, I believe is the term for it. Where he could only own 1% of the team, and he still controls the team. He is, if you decide to be an investor, you know that going in that you will not have a control. You just share in the profits to whatever percent that you own. So Spiegel, I think it was Shane Reardon, their executive producer, was part of the research project on that. They learned that the Ishbias have purchased 35% now of the White Sox. Jerry actually only owns 20% himself. 30% goes to his sons, but they don't even vote. I don't think they have. Well, there is no vote. It's just Jerry, but it's just like a trust or something that has their name on it. So I don't know. I don't fully understand what that means, but that leaves just 15% now as other various minority owners. That was rumored to be 100 different owners at one point.
Right.
I think it was only really in reality 30. That is down to 15 now, as the Ishbias presumably have bought up those other shares from those other minority owners. So I guess that explains a little bit what's going on, why the Ishbias, they're buying up more and more, and that might be all they can buy at this point. But there's no ownership change in the works at all. Like, as long as Jerry wants to own the team, he's going to own the team. As long as he's alive, he's going to own the team. Again, the question of White Sox ownership, when it's going to change, is literally when Jerry passes. That's when things will shake up, because it's not going to happen while he's alive. He's said it over and over again. The way the ownership partnership rules are written up, it cannot transfer without him wanting it to. So I guess Sox fans are stuck with Jerry until he's gone. But I just felt like we needed to follow up on that, because I think we did 2 or 3 segments on it in the past about it, and just were confused in how it all works. Now it's thanks to Spiegel and Holmes. They showed us what's really happening.
Well, now I understand the term of saying my minority shareholders, because anyone who owns a share besides Jerry is really a minority shareholder, because he is the controlling partner no matter what.
Yeah, it's kind of semantics at that point. But yeah, so he's gonna run it no matter what until he decides not to or can't.
Which we knew. I think we knew that.
I guess there was hope when you heard about the Ishbias that they were on their way to like a deal at any, this year, or especially how they exited the bidding for the Minnesota Twins. It's like, well, they want a team right away, but they have no say in it when they get the team. But I think they will be the next owners, most likely. It's just not imminent.
Yeah, I mean, you figure once Jerry's out, that 20% goes to them. They buy that 20%, so that gives them 55% at that point. And
yeah, and I'm sure the sons, whatever that portion,
they'll probably cash sons,
out. Yeah, so they'll suddenly own 85% of it, and potentially buy out the other 15% of the 8 minority owners are left, or whatever it is.
What we'll never know in the immediate is what was really discussed with him. Like, if maybe Jerry does have a timetable that isn't him dying. You know what I mean? Maybe for health reasons, or
I'm sure whatever. He has things written up if he's incapacitated, or however it works. Maybe on a temporary basis it goes to, is that Michael Reinsdorf? Is that one of his sons? Or?
Sure.
I think he's the basketball guy, but I'm sure he'll take control for a time, and then with the idea that they would sell after his passing. But talking about Jerry Reinsdorf dying a lot on this podcast, which feels a little morbid, but in ways that's the only thing Sox fans have to root for at this point. But
well, yeah. Anyway,
we'll just leave it there.
All right, and I think that's it on the White Sox. On that note.
Yeah, well, in similarly morbid terms, I'm going to move to the north side, as the big news out of the Cubs camp is Justin Steele is out for the year, forced to have elbow surgery.
He gone.
Your crass text to me out of nowhere on my way home.
Laughing, giggling.
My weary way home, traveling many hours back from Chicago to Michigan. Your taunting text that Steele is out. It's weird. I haven't seen, and maybe they've clarified that subsequently, this maybe today, but I haven't seen that he's actually having Tommy John surgery. He's definitely out for the season. He's going to have surgery of some sort, but it's not necessarily that he's going to be out the typical 12 to 18 months with Tommy John. There's I think the other form of surgery to help repair a flexor tendon muscle in UCL is a internal brace surgery, which of course I have no idea what it means, but the thing to take away from it is it's not going to be, it doesn't have to be Tommy John. It could be something that takes less time to recover from. Regardless, he's out for the year, which is got to be devastating news for Jed Hoyer, who has put all his eggs into this one season, one basket of the 2025 season. they have to win. They have to go to the playoffs and do damage, I think, for him to keep his job, as this is the final season of his contract. So they've got to do something, I guess, is the question now that they have lost their ace in Justin Steele. And a lot of people pointed to, before the season even started, they're talking about Dylan Cease might be available from the Padres in a trade because his contract runs out after this year or after next season. I don't remember now, but that's should have always been a ludicrous idea, and it's even more ludicrous considering they're the best team in baseball right now. They're not going to be trading away anyone from their starting rotation. They have no interest in that. So that was a pipe dream. The more realistic trade proposal I've seen out there is Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins, who will definitely trade him at some point, but they're not trading him on April 15th.
Nope.
They have no interest in that. There's no reason they would want to do that unless the Cubs absolutely blew him out of the water, which means that the Cubs would be dealing from a position of extreme weakness, and that's not where you want to be. I think even if no matter what offer the Cubs might throw towards the Marlins, they're going to wait till they're closer to the trade deadline, just to see how many different bidders might come in on him by then. I guess the only mitigating factor is you could be worried that he'd get injured. So that might be the only reason that the Marlins would be interested in, that the Cubs might be able to put a reasonable package together to get Alcantara. That would be a solution. That on the field, that would be something that would make sense and would really help the Cubs sustain their tremendous start to the season so far. So that's something I could see, but I don't think it's quite as realistic as they're going to try to leverage their farm system. The arms they have in the system already are going to have to step up and kind of fill that void. Javier Assad is one potential. I think it's going to take several to actually come up and fill that role, but Assad is recovering from Tommy John himself. I think Jordan Wicks is going to be involved. People have talked about Cade Horton, their top pitching prospect, being called up. I mean, that's fun to talk about. Such a solid, interesting top pitching prospect. I just don't see the Cubs rushing him because of an issue that, an unforeseen rotation issue. I think you need to keep that kind of guy on whatever path they had planned for him, whatever innings they had planned for him in the minors, whatever things he needed to hone in Iowa. I don't think they're going to change that plan. I just feel with Jed Hoyer, he is so risk averse. I just don't see that being a reasonable option in his mind. It'd be fun, get the hot prospect called up and see what he can do. But I think that would be later on this summer before he'd be in. So I think it's going to be a rotation of different players coming back from injury and being called up, but not the super hot prospect like Cade Horton, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest challenge you guys are going to have is getting a starter who can go a solid 6 innings, which you've gotten out of a lot of your starters this year, because I don't probably have to tell you this. The bullpen's ERA is 5.23. It's
not good.
One of the
worst. It was not good last night either in San Diego.
Yeah, it's one of the worst bullpens in baseball. It's on the bottom in the bottom 5.
Third. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I was running through some numbers, or I was typing in
look at you
to StatMuse because I knew we were going to be talking about the Cubs and what they're going to do about starting pitching. And the Cubs basically, of their 11 wins, 7 of those wins were when the starter went 6 innings or more.
Yeah.
They've lost most of the other games when a starter's only gone 5 innings or.
I have a feeling that plays out across the majors.
No, but I don't think it does, because you have these teams like the Yankees and Dodgers who are set up, and a lot of teams are set up to where the starter can go 5 innings and they turn it over to the bullpen. That's how teams are designed now.
Well, good teams. So
yeah. So all I'm saying is it's unrealistic to think you're in first place now. You want to stay there. You gotta.
In a terrible division.
I know.
It's even worse than we thought it was going to be.
But you gotta you either put the screws down or just say, fuck it, if you're not going to go get someone. I get what you're saying. Like, there's no way no one's gonna trade someone now unless the package is wild. When in 2 months they'll have 9 teams knocking at their door.
Yeah, I'm not saying they'll never trade. They will trade for somebody, but it's not going to be in April. There's just no one. You're not going to find a partner this early.
Yeah, it just could be too late when they do it.
I'm not as worried about that. Well, too late that the Cubs would fall out of contention.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I'm not worried about that just because the whole division is such trash. I think they're going to be able to maintain at least, or not be out of reach at least by the time they can actually make a deal. But if it was any other division, I think for sure, that would be a serious issue. But I don't see it, and especially how they've played so far. And Steele hadn't been that great. He had 2 mediocre starts and 1 good one, so they weren't riding him this far to first place in the division. So I don't know. It's going to be frustrating watching Jed maneuver through this because it's going to be slow and boring and hopefully not painful, but we'll see. Do you have any more stats over there on StatMuse?
Oh, no. I
saw you looking at your phone, so I thought you were going to blow my mind with something else.
No. The only other stats I have are for your next topic, for something funny you asked me to do at the beginning of the season that I was going to.
Oh, yes. Well, let's talk about Kyle Tucker and the potential for him being extended by the Chicago Cubs, which it has to happen. I mean, I know all Cubs fans are saying it, reasonable Cubs fans, irrational Cubs fans, every Cubs fan. There's just no way that the Cubs can trade away Cam Smith, who you're going to bring up here in a minute.
Yes.
I think. You can't trade away that prospect for 1 year of Kyle Tucker and consider yourself a major market team and just let Kyle Tucker leave at the end of the season. It's too much of an investment. You've got the money. You have to, if you're not going to sign Kyle Tucker, who are they ever going to sign? It's just obvious. And immediately he was NL Player of the Week in week 1 of MLB. He is the shit. He's the guy you pay. And we're starting to get a feeling for what it might actually cost the Cubs to extend him, as we saw Vlad Guerrero Jr. sign a 14-year, $500 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays, his hometown club, so to speak. That kind of set the bar in a way. And Guerrero is 26 years old. He's not quite the all-around player that Kyle Tucker is even.
Nope.
So, but Kyle Tucker is 28, so that changes the calculus a little bit. Again, I always refer to Ken Rosenthal when he weighs in on things like this, and he actually put together a deal that actually made sense to me, at least based on those numbers. He thought a 12-year, $504 million deal could get it done. Just a little bit more than less in average annual value, but around what Vlad was getting, but in a couple fewer years. So that would put him till his age 40. Actually, both those deals put them to their age 40 season. So I think that's where Ken was coming from. So that's the ballpark we're talking about. Under $50 million a year. I saw another thing late last week. This is on the Score, and I'm not even sure who they were referencing, but they said they talked to Tucker's agency, which seems bizarre that the agency would give out numbers like this. But they said it was going to take at least $10,475 million. 10 years, sorry.
Yeah.
10 years, 475 million.
Okay.
So 47.5 a year. And
okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, hell yes. He'll be 38 at the end of that instead of in his 40s. 47.5 a year. Yeah, they can handle that. They're actually 40 million under their budget from last year at this point. So if they just went slightly above what they were paying last year, that would land him. So those are actually encouraging numbers to me as a fan. They're probably horrifying numbers to Tom Ricketts, as we've seen his proclivity not to spend money like that. But I think those are reasonable deals. And if he signs elsewhere for something like that and the Cubs do not, I mean, what are we doing? Why are we even following this team if they're not willing to do what it takes to put a world champion on the field? So there you go. There's the gauntlet right there for you, Jed and Tom, that you can sign the player that everyone knows you need to have for amount of money that you have and can afford. So let's fucking get it done.
Yeah. Let's do it. So at the beginning of the season, you had said, hey, would you mind taking on the task of, in case this Tucker thing backfires, like
it looked like it may have, because he was so terrible in spring training. But
yeah, and in the spring training real games, going like 1 for 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
So we got I thought I didn't do it last week because it was the last time we were on, actually, because the season was so new. So we're about 2 weeks into the season, so we got the Tucker for Cam Smith. Who's making out right now? Well, it's definitely the Cubs at the moment. And just obviously Tucker is a world beater right now. I mean, he's living up to. He's actually playing like a guy who's in a contract year, like they often do.
That's interesting.
But he also has put up these numbers pretty consistently. So 1042 OPS on the season compared to Cam Smith's 612. That's all you need to say.
Right there.
Nothing more to pontificate about. Cam's working his way through it. If you do look, though, I think the nerves are kind of off because he's trended upward the last 7 games, where his OPS is 709 over his last 7 starts.
Towards league average there.
Yeah, so he's working his way into it, and all of his offensive numbers are over the past 7 games. So he's slowly working his way into a Major League Baseball player. But
he's got years to figure this out too.
Yes. But to your point, you trade away like your top prospect, right, for a rental player. As of right now, because nothing's happened, one of your best pitchers goes down for the season. It's all worth nothing without some sort of at minimum playoff appearance, but like playoff run.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not feeling it right now. I know they played way better than you and I both anticipated. So kudos to that. Part of, I think Tucker's obviously helped bring along Pete Crow Armstrong, who's out of his mind right now.
Well, this weekend he had a great weekend, or maybe even just one game in LA. But
so, I mean,
but Tucker's, the Reggie Jackson term, he's the straw that stirs the drink. He makes the Cubs offense so much more potent in so many ways. It's just obvious how much better that offense looks with Tucker in the lineup, and they have to sign him. I mean, the Cam Smith bit, I thought that might be a fun bit considering how they played in spring training, how much better Smith was. But if you look deeper into that, I mean, we probably brought it up. He was facing mainly single A or double A pitchers in his plate appearances in spring training. So it's not surprising that he would be able to dominate those guys and struggle once he actually sees major league pitching. So no, not disparaging Cam Smith in any way. He's got a long time to figure it out, and he's shown some promise already. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sent him down at some point this year. But it would have been funny if those numbers were comparable to do that bit every week or so. But I think we can probably retire that one at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I say we retire it. Maybe I'll keep an eye on the numbers, and if something compelling happens to where it's
keep us posted,
becoming close, then I'll be laughing and you won't be. But I do have a question for you, though, regarding last night's game.
Is this an asshole question?
It's not really an asshole question. I
wanted to play that intro.
I don't know. You can decide if it's an asshole question. It's not one that's really putting you on the spot.
Well, I'm playing it regardless. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I just got to ask you how you feel about Gavin Sheets being the straw that was stirring a lot of that drink last night to forge the comeback for the Padres to end up blowing out the Cubs bullpen. I mean,
fortunately, I was watching the Tigers game and then switched over to the Cubs Padres, and actually the Cubs went up 3-1 at one point, and then I saw the wheels come off with, God damn it, I forgot the reliever who walked everybody and then had a couple infield dribblers, and everything kind of fell apart. And I saw the writing was on the wall, and it was 11:45 p.m.
Yes,
I think I can probably go to bed now.
Yeah.
And what was the final? Is it 10-4?
I think it
10-4, yeah.
10-4, good buddy.
I made a good choice there. So no, I was not distraught by Gavin Sheets being the catalyst for that.
Yeah. Did you real quick? I don't want to turn this into the Gavin Sheets show, but
yeah, what's going on? The Sheets show.
So yeah, funny you say that. So during the Hispanic broadcast a few nights ago, he hit a walk-off home run, kind of like what he would do sometimes when he pinch hit for the White Sox. And it's kind of funny. He has like a 907 OPS right now, but I also remember adding him when someone got injured on my fantasy team to start the season last year because he was so red hot. And then I had to drop him because by mid-season he was so goddamn awful. Yeah. So it seems very similar things playing out. But the funniest thing was the broadcaster's call was, "Holy sheet!"
Oh, there we go.
That he hit the home run, and he kept screaming, "Holy sheets! Sheets hit the home run! Holy sheets!" It was hilarious. If you can look it up, everyone, it's a very funny call. It's out there. It's getting some likes on the old social medias. So
you
check
could
it out.
Retweet that on or re-exit, whatever you call it on Sox type thing. If you
like. Oh God, I try to stay off X, but
yeah, it's probably a good idea.
But yeah.
Well, if we can end the Gavin Sheets section of this show, I think we could move over to shit we couldn't make up
or sheet we couldn't make up. See what I did? You see
I
what
thought
I did
about doing
again?
it when I was saying it, and I thought better, and then you just stepped right in it. So
yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
Okay, we gotta end this quickly. This is devolving into madness.
He called the sheet poop.
Well, just real quick with my fucking A's. I don't have much to say about them this week, but they did get in the news for having a medical cart that ran out of gas on the field. And had to be pushed off by many workers there. It actually delayed the game. They had to bring out a second cart for an injured player. I think it was they were playing the Mets, but it took them an extra time just to get the cart into the back bullpen area or through the wall, and it was just, you got to see the video. It's great. The theory is that the cart ran out of gas and was disabled. I guess it's just another example of what a minor league organization the A's are. And, gas costs money. So they probably want to keep those low as possible. Those tanks not full of gas there. So just another embarrassing moment for the 2025 fucking A's.
And other shit we couldn't make up. I don't remember if you alluded to this at the beginning of the show, but John Heyman had a mysterious post that he put up on X that he entitled "The List," and it seems to coincide pretty much with the list of individuals who tested positive for steroids. What's it called? The Warren list or something like that? Or the Mitchell list.
Mitchell report. Warren investigated the JFK.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry. I get my
Warren Commission.
My important historic
equally important.
But when I carefully reviewed the list, I did find some names on it, because we never heard. You heard, you got Sosa, you got Bonds, you got.
It's basically all the great players from the early 2000s. List of is 113 players.
103 names.
103. We didn't mention he deleted this 1 hour after he posted it without explanation. I cannot find anywhere where he's even spoken of this since. He's got his own radio show, podcast. He's all over the place, and I haven't heard that he's explained why he posted it and why he deleted it. So there's rampant speculation. It just says the list. It doesn't say that these guys tested positive. So everyone's just sort of it's a coincidence. It's a big coincidence that many of the players on the list are definitely suspected or were shown to have done PEDs. So interesting. Yeah. You did you break down the list in an interesting way, I think?
Yeah. Well, there were just some names that if this is a steroid list, I was a little bit surprised by. Yeah. One group that's interesting because the list seems to be broken down by teams. So there'll be a cluster of teammates.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't alphabetical or anything. I was trying to figure that out too, and then I realized it would be clusters of players in the same team at that time. I think it was 2000. Do we determine what year that was? For some reason I have 2003 in my head. But
yeah, probably because Ordonez was on the Tigers at that point, right?
I think no. I think he was having knee surgery then in Europe someplace. I don't think he came until 05 or 06.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's probably maybe been the off season of between 05 and 06 because Pudge came in 05.
Okay.
Ivan Rodriguez. And I think he's on the list, isn't he?
Yeah, Ivan Rodriguez is on the list, but he's in the section that would have been probably the Rangers at the time.
Yeah. Or maybe the Marlins.
Or maybe the Marlins. Yeah, Mike Hampton. Yeah. And Derek Lee.
There we go.
Yeah.
D. Lee, my favorite. Yeah.
Gary Sheffield, Hampton, Pudge, Derek Lee. Then it goes into Bobby Abreu, which
Phillies.
Not surprising. The things that were like standouts to me though was that Ordonez was on the list. I never heard his name before. Yeah. Kenny Rogers was on the list.
Sandy he would have been with the Rangers. Yeah.
Bartolo Colon. Sweaty Freddie Garcia.
Oh.
The interesting thing is the A's team that's basically assembled in Moneyball.
Yeah.
Eric Chavez, Miguel Tejada, Eric Burns, Jose Guillen, Keith Folk, Ricardo Racone. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's the movie.
I think everyone knew
except for Keith Folk.
Yeah, I think everyone knew about Tejada. Chavez. Actually, Chavez came up in conversation this weekend at Callahan's. It's funny.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the undersold part of Moneyball. They barely talk about the offense other than Scott Hatterberg.
Yes.
They certainly don't mention the incredible rotation they had, but well, you didn't even get to the best part yet, though. I cut you off.
Oh, you wanted me to get to the Cubs?
Yeah, entire rotation.
Well, not just the entire. Was Burnitz on that team too?
He would have been with Colorado back then.
Okay. So then it starts.
He came later. Maybe not. But.
Moises Alou, Sammy Sosa, Corey Patterson, Carlos Zambrano, Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood, Matt Clement, Antonio Alfonseca.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. My head almost blew up when I read that part of it. I was just like, that is just freaking crazy. A lot of the Giants too, Bonds is always in the spotlight, but
I didn't see Bonds on the list.
Bonds is on the list, 88.
He is. Okay. I missed that.
Rich Aurelia, Benito Santiago, Andres Galarraga, Jason Schmidt, one of the main pitchers back then, Jason Christensen, Felix Rodriguez, Matt Herges. Those are all like star players from the Giants. All we ever heard about was Bonds. So,
well, it's hard to, we can do whatever the fuck we want. We're just a stupid podcast, YouTuber, whatever, but there's nothing that says that is an official list of steroid users. That is a speculation. That's probably a reasonable conclusion, but there's nothing that says that is the list. In fact, the actual Mitchell Report list that was reported years ago of people that tested positive for steroids when it was not illegal within baseball, they used that list to determine if they needed to come up with a steroids policy. If there was more than 5%, I think, of all players that tested positive, then they would implement that new system. Well, that Mitchell Report list only had 89 players on it. So this is a different list. I'm sure they're related in ways. And that list has never actually been leaked, but it is reported there are 89 people on that list. So you said it had 103 total?
Yeah, 103.
Yeah, I like that they're numbered too. They just wrote 1 through 103. So I don't know. To jump to a conclusion that these are officially all steroid users is a bit unfair. Considering that is not stated, and this list has also been deleted off of the medium. But I also saw somebody speculate this is a list of Balco clients, which is the San Francisco doping agency that certainly wasn't all Giants. It was used by A-Rod and everybody else, but they were kind of the instigator of all of this. So I don't know if those were all Balco clients, if we can do the research and find out if indeed they were all, that doesn't necessarily mean they were steroids abusers. It means likely they were. So I don't know. I just want to put that caveat out there. I think you're probably right. This has something to do with PEDs somehow. But some of those names we had never heard before being linked with it. Again, it wasn't against baseball's rules at that point. We also don't know what year this is for sure. It feels like it's 03, maybe 04, but it was not a rule until after 05, I believe. So
yeah.
So do with that what you will. I'm curious if more comes out about that. Somebody's got to hold Heyman's feet to the fire. Like, what the fuck was this?
Yeah, I know. That's a weird thing. It's like, is it like during a pre-show, they're like, what's up with the list? He's like, I can't talk about it. And it never comes up in conversation. Like, it's bizarre. To your point, the guy's fucking everywhere. He's on the score like
once a week on Mully and Haw.
Yeah. Like he is everywhere. He's all over TV. He has made a complete brand for himself. But yeah.
Well, he's a reputable reporter. It's not like he's some hack that just came onto the scene. He's been with the New York Post or New York Times, whatever it is, for years. So I don't know. It's a mystery. I'm dying to know what the fuck is going on over there.
Yeah, I think this is more of a John Hyman moment versus a John Heyman moment.
I see. Yes. I see what you did there. There we go. Well,
I've called him. When I've been annoyed with things he said, I do call him John Hyman. So.
I have seen that.
Yes,
I've heard of you.
Heard of it. Yes, it is very mature of me, as you can tell from this podcast. I'm a very mature individual.
It's a perfect way to wrap this mature episode up. Well, unless you had any other mature statements to make before we get off here, I think we can wrap up this episode 163.
Holy shit! It's over. That's all.
Go retweet that. I'll go text it to me at least. We had to take a week off last week, but we'll probably try to come back next week.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be more to talk about. Maybe there's more to this mystery that comes out. John Hyman. In the meantime, you can catch us on the web at majorleagueaholes.com. You can find us on social media, which you need to get back on, even though you don't like X. We can set up a Instagram account or some other account for you if you'd like.
Oh, I still go on X sometimes.
Okay, you and I can talk about it. Maybe we can branch out. Major League A-Holes is everywhere on all social media platforms at Major League A-Holes. You can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace.
Word Hole Media.